Welcome to the round table. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is my co-host Mike Hill. Oh, that was a new look. Yeah, normally you just kind of look at me, but you were like perked up there. Must be a good Tuesday.
It's been a while since we've been in here.
Well, yeah.
It seems like
we didn't have one last week.
No, I know. That's
you
what
had
I'm saying.
Grandparents' Day, so.
I know.
Yeah.
Grandparents' Day.
Yeah.
Oh, does that make me feel? I know I already look old, which was the one thing. So when the judges, listen to this. So when the judges video came out, you know what? Every single person that saw me that watched it, they're like, wow, I mean, I thought you were old, but when you put that white hair on, you really look old.
I didn't think that.
Your beard. I said, it's all the lighting. Nick makes me look worse. Right. It's the lighting. Like the lighting.
But everyone was complimenting Nick's luscious locks.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It made Nick look awesome and me look like an old man. And I went to Grandparents' Day last week. So anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but that was a thought.
And our producer, Nick Wilson. And our guest today is Courtney Eakes. Yay, Courtney.
I never asked, are you nervous at all? Are you good at this stuff?
But I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
That's why we talk beforehand, because then people get more relaxed.
Yeah.
So if you had $1 million, this is always so good. What would you do with $1 million?
I've already thought about this.
So you're just
I don't know if it's like the right way to think about it, but I would buy a brand new vehicle.
Yes. What would you buy?
Just a truck. Like just a nice truck. So that fits.
What brand? Are you like a brand person?
So I say I like Dodges.
Okay.
But my husband's like, no Dodges. So,
it's got to be.
But I would probably
so
there's that or a Toyota.
There's $80,000 gone. So what would you do with the rest?
You would buy a Toyota?
I love my husband's Tundra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I really do like it. And the new Tundras are really nice.
Okay.
And then a good stock trailer, and a camper.
A stock trailer?
Because we have a gazillion goats.
Goats.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
They are goat farmers.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You didn't. You did know that.
I did know that she said that.
We actually have babies coming this Friday.
Yeah, babies coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like little baby goats.
Like mamas that are pregnant.
Yeah.
Baby
do you
goats
want some, Jennifer? Is
no.
That why you're asking?
You know what?
Y'all have me back. We'll just let them run around.
Emma
and stuff.
loves goats.
I put diapers. And
can't Eric just put a little fence in around your yard and put some goats in there?
That would be awful sweet. Huh? That would be awful sweet. We'd probably have more than just goats out there then.
That's
We'd
what I'm
probably have
saying.
some little cows.
Yeah, bring
and
over
the chickens and.
Come on, Eric. If you're watching the podcast,
he's not. But anyways,
Eric.
Okay, we got it. We got to talk about Courtney.
No, stock trailer.
We're talking about me.
Huh?
Yeah, stock trailer and then a camper.
And
Yeah.
then we'll do the rest of it then.
Probably just pay off bills.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
You can't pay off bills?
No.
I can't pay off my house.
Judas. Oh, man. Be debt free. Come on. That's a good start.
Yeah.
I want to know where you could go camping.
Find a nice place up in Michigan to put some money towards. So, because we love Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Which part?
So we've been on the west side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Going up Lake Michigan and stuff, and we really like that. And then this summer we went up to like the UP area and like just the northern part of Michigan before the UP. And I think we fell even more in love with it then. Like, so I love the water part of it. I love that there's no salt.
Yes.
There's nothing in there that wants to eat me. So, which is
that you know
awesome.
of.
Yeah, that I know of. It's a little chilly, but like we went up there and we had such a good time. Like we went for like 5 days, and every day we just picked a spot on the map, and that was about an hour from us, and we loaded up the kids in the car and we just went.
Wow.
So it was fun, but I don't think Kenny and my husband realized how much like wooded area is up that way.
Yeah.
So like as we're driving and stuff, he was like, oh, it's like a dimmed down Tennessee with no snakes. So which is even better for us.
Yeah.
So.
Like once you get into the UP, the cool part about the UP is that you can get good hiking, it's remote, and it's only 6 or 7 hours compared to driving all the way out west.
Yes.
So you can get an experience.
There's kind of just everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The UP is awesome.
And I don't know how many times I looked at him on when we'd be driving somewhere, and I'm like, you want to sell everything? Like, come on, let's just sell it all.
Just
sell it all. Sell the goats. Come on, let's move up here.
Are you that kind of people?
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
You wouldn't just be spontaneous, just like sell it all and take off?
My whole family's from Huntington, and I've born, raised, never moved out of Huntington. There's no way I could just leave.
None.
So none.
Mm-hmm.
So now when the kids are older and they're out and stuff, that's what he was like, what if we get like a vacation home? And I was like to come up in the winter. Because I've always told him, like, I want to retire to Michigan.
You'd rather go where it's like really cold to super cold.
Yeah,
real
super cold. Like, it gets
You know,
colder.
you got Indiana and it's cold. I'd love to drive further north and be super cold.
Yeah.
You're not like the people who are like, I got to get out of the cold.
No, and like
I'm
he's
getting out of the
terrible
cold
about
this
the
I'm
warmth.
doing it.
Like he hates summer. Hates summer. So even winter in Florida or South, he would be miserable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you have everywhere to fish. You can hunt. I just need a big, huge picture window with a fireplace. So when I'm snowed in,
You can drink my coffee. And
yeah,
just
I
be
can
snuggled
just
there.
be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good
For
just
sure.
being. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
I was
Is
like, we
he
need-
tied to Huntington? Like, is he like,
Not, I mean,
so he could just sell it all
he
and
could,
go?
Yeah, he could. So he's a lot more than I would be able to.
A lot more
Yeah.
adventurous?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have an adventurous side?
He's made me be more adventurous.
Okay.
So, yeah, with like the hunt and then the fishing and
So what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done that he's made you do that you never thought you would have done in a million years?
I don't know because he's kind of, so I'm like the risk taker. Like he wants to go out and go to the wilderness and like he's my woodsy guy.
Okay.
But I'm the thrill seeker. So like the roller coasters and like I would love to go bungee jumping or like skydiving, that kind of stuff. Never. He won't get on a cruise ship because he doesn't trust it.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah. Titanic.
Right.
I mean, how many times do I have to say it? Thanks, Kenyon. I'm with you. Watch the Titanic. Watch any of them. They run into sandbars. They run into all kinds of crap. Who wants to get trapped in the water? Judas, if you come out of a plane and you start going down, don't put the mask on. Just die in the plane. The ship, it's going to go over, and you're going to have to sit out there and drown for a while. I would just rather don't put the oxygen mask on. Just I'm out and dead. It's over. Thanks, Kenyon. I'm glad somebody else sees my point of view. I'm not cruising.
Thank you. I will never get him on a cruise ship.
Yes. What, have you been on a cruise
Yes,
ship?
I've been on a cruise ship.
You never thought about any of those things?
I did not.
Did you feel weird when you got off?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I would love
Okay,
to
Kenyon,
go
you
again.
can pick Jennifer or me. Whichever one you want to listen to.
I would go, well,
I don't know.
oh, listen to. I thought it meant go with on a cruise. I'm like, I'll go with me. You want to go with Mike? He's a lot more funner.
No, me. You two can
We
go on
can't
a
get him
cruise.
on a cruise
Me and
ship.
Kenyon will go hunting somewhere.
We'll go on a cruise,
Yeah.
Courtney.
Right?
So,
Okay.
yeah. Oh,
So you're the risk taker.
I'm the risk taker.
So the biggest risk is like adventurous type.
I don't know. Maybe. I think
Maybe getting a goat herd.
Oh my gosh.
That would probably be a big risk.
That
They
was
get out all
crazy.
the time.
And then, like 3 years ago now, I just came home with 21 baby goats in the back of my Tahoe.
Oh my gosh.
Priest.
Did they poop all over the place?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, golly.
It's like
yeah.
Duck Dynasty. Have you ever seen that where she comes
Oh, yeah.
home with a bunch of goats in the back and her spoop all over and
Oh,
a
yeah.
brand new Escalade and
It was nuts.
Yeah.
And God love my husband because he never questioned me. He just built another pen. So it was
That's
never
true
like
love.
it really
there you go.
So we had to bottle feed all these babies. Like it was madness. It was crazy. And everybody's like, have you lost your mind? And I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because goats are escape artists. They're too hard to keep in.
We fix fence constantly.
Yes. They
Yeah.
find ways out. And once they
Yeah.
know the way out, they're all out.
They're gone.
And then they try to fix it and they keep coming to that same place all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time. The
Yeah.
one, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. 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 So, part of your story, you've had a lot of, when younger, you had loss early on in your life. So did that really define who you were in your younger years? Did that kind of shape your thought process and what you believed or how you saw the world?
I was very angry.
And you said you grew up here.
I grew up in Huntington.
Okay.
Yeah. My real dad passed away when I was 13 of heart problems, just unexpectedly. Nobody knew or anything like that. And so, like, from there, I just kind of became, like, rebellious and just angry. And
because life before that was good.
Yeah. So I was every other weekend with my parents. They were divorced. And I don't remember having anything, like, traumatic or bad. Like, I had a good childhood. Like, I was an only grandchild for a long, long time. And so I was kind of spoiled rotten. And so I had a really good childhood. I mean, just in general. On both sides. And so then at 13, he passed away, and I was huge daddy's girl. So it was just a huge shock, like, just to your system at 13. What do you do without your dad? Like, I look at my kids now, like, we have a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, 15, and 16-year-old, and I'm like, I can imagine them not having, like, Kenny around. Like, it would be crazy. So it just made me, I was so angry. Like, I think that just really made me angry. Like, I became a huge bully at school, which I've been very honest, like, with my kids and stuff about that because bullying is such a big deal now. And it's so much more hostile than it was even when, like, I was in school, I feel like. And they know, like, mom was a bully in school. I was super angry. I didn't want to be there. And that will not be tolerated in our house by any means.
Did your mom know that you were a bully? Or was that kind of like
to an extent she did. But I wasn't open and honest with my mom either. And I don't feel like the schools are like they are now, where they call on everything, which is nice that they do that. But it wasn't so much that back then, I feel like. It's changed so much. So I think that just kind of changed me as far as, like, my personality just became kind of hardened more than anything.
And back then, I mean, I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but back then you were going to church, not going to church? Was
So
it
we
an on and
weren't
off
going
thing?
to church. So I would go occasionally with my grandma on my dad's side or my aunt on my mom's side, and more with my dad and stuff. Right before he passed away, he got saved and got baptized and was really, really heavy in the church. And so I think that also contributed to the anger part of things of, growing up in church off and on, back and forth, you're saved and everything's good, and well, then he just died. Like, how unfair. And in the 13-year-old's mind, I think it just didn't make sense to me at that point. And then when he passed, I rebelled so much and I was a butt. And my mom, I call them the committee. So my mom and my two aunts and my grandma, like, my mom was really young when she had me. So I was kind of raised by, like, our tribe, and I call them the committee. So, because everything goes through the committee. And, like, they all kind of decided, like, she needs to go be in youth group, and she needs to be involved in these things. And, man, I kicked and screamed and cried the whole way every single Wednesday that they took me. But there's so much, I don't remember much of anything. As far as, like, taking anything in, I was just so mad to even be there.
So you didn't have, like, any friends that went to this church or youth group? Nothing?
No, nothing. So it's just a church that my great-grandma originally was at. It's just kind of, like, was our church, our family church on my mom's side. And they all just were like, you're going. This is happening. You're going. And I was so against it that I don't think I took anything in during that time either. So
did you sit in the corner with, like, your arms crossed?
No, I didn't remember. I'm like, no, like, I remember, like, participating.
Okay.
Like, I participated, and I can't even tell you. There's a prayer, and I have it in my Bible because I went back and found it, that I remember. I don't remember what it is, but there is a prayer that I remember, and it's in my Bible now, that I remember going back when we started church again and being like, I need to remember this prayer, because that's the only prayer I remembered from
that church.
That was it. It was the only thing I took in. We read the book. It starts with a J.
Prayer Jabez?
Nope. That one.
Oh.
Yeah. So we read like this book with it. Yeah. And I just remember taking that in, and like, even to this day, I think there's parts of my prayer at night that I do that brings that kind of into it a little bit too. But so there was something I did take in, I guess. So, but that was it, because I wasn't taking anything else in, and I refused to do anything else with it. So, and then it just kind of went downhill from there.
So did that take you into high school, or did that
took me into high school? And then I think at that point my mom remarried, and we just she didn't make me go anymore. And then I got into high school and just kind of was out of control as far as partying and drinking and, you know, hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out with. And
because was she doing like her own thing, and the kids just kind of like,
she worked as a paramedic. So she was 20. Well, she went to school to be a paramedic, which took a couple years to do and stuff. And then in between there, she was a single mom and stuff. So, like, I'd be at Grandma and Grandpa's, or I'd be at home, and there was a trust with me. Like, she did trust me, and she should not have. And then there was a point that I got caught, and then there was no more trust. And man, I think I was grounded most of high school. And then as soon as I'd be let off from grounding, I would dive into something else and get busted. And I wasn't very sneaky about anything, as much as I tried to be, but and it just never worked. So it was just up and down constantly, just in trouble and out of trouble. And with her, as far as the parent, I was never like in trouble with like the law or anything.
So was it just basically drinking that you were doing?
Drinking and partying, and then just hanging out with older classmates and being places that I really shouldn't have been at certain points. And there was never any drugs. So that was, I mean, not that was a, hey, go me. But
well, I mean, that is a plus.
Right? You did every other heathen thing you could think of.
Skipping school and...
I would skip school occasionally. Never snuck out. I had a friend over the one night, and our basement, I could like open my door and just crawl up out. Never once in my life did I think I'm going to sneak out. And it wasn't getting out that was hard. I always knew, like, I can get out anytime I want to, but it's getting back in. So we all shoot guns and we hunt, and everybody's got guns in our family. Like, if I went back in, they don't know I left.
Right.
So I'm going to get shot.
Yeah.
So, because they're going to think somebody's coming into their house.
Right.
And I remember a friend, she snuck out the one night, and I sat there and was just sick to my stomach. And I went up to my mom and I was like, she did this. She was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, please don't shoot her when she comes in. She called her mom and stuff. But, so there was never any of that. Like, there was a respectful fear of certain things. But then there was a point of, I just don't care. So, but I know I've said it, and I said it in my baptism video, that at certain points, like, I just felt like a tap, like, just turn around. Like, you know this is wrong. You know this isn't right. And at the time, I never thought, well, that's God. That's God telling me that. Like, it was just like, like my conscience telling me that.
I'm having too much fun.
Like, this is fun, and I don't. No, I'm not doing wrong. It's fine. So now looking back, I'm like, sorry about that. Like,
Yeah.
So the one of my kids was like, so you like side-eyed him all the time, and I was like, yeah, I did.
And so you and Kenny met in high school?
We did not.
I don't remember what he said when he was
so,
on the podcast. I forget.
Out of high school, I got pregnant with Trinity, my 14-year-old, out of wedlock, and just doing me and having fun. And then less than 2 years later, I got pregnant with Braylee from a different man. So didn't do any of that right. But got 2 beautiful girls out of it. And then Braylee was 2 when we moved into the house next to Kenyon's parents.
Oh, really?
So Kenyon's parents were actually Nana and Papa, and his kids and my kids played in the backyards together before Kenyon and I even knew who each other were. So that was kind of cool. And then I was sitting on my porch one day, and his mom, he was picking up the kids next door, and his mom was like, "Hey, the neighbor girl, like she just broke up with her boyfriend. You should go talk to her." And so the funniest thing is, he looked at his mom and told her, "Mom, she's way too ghetto."
Ghetto.
Yes. So he said she's way too ghetto for me. And then we had a really, really hard winter that winter, and he plowed driveways on the side of doing his regular job, and he always plowed our private drive back in the back. And I had messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, I have to get out tomorrow. Is there any way you can go past your parents and plow my part of my driveway?" And then it just kind of like went from there, and we just kind of here and there chatted, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and he worked thirds at the time. So, and I was a bartender, so I was up really late. So we text all night, or, different things. And within 8 months we were married.
Wow.
So we dated and moved in and got engaged and married within 8 months. So
wow.
It was kind of just a whirlwind, crazy, throw a blended family together. And then about a year after we were married, he actually adopted both of the girls, my girls. So they are officially Inks. Yeah. So we just kind of meshed everything together and said, let's do it.
How long has that been?
December, it'll be 10 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges of the blending in the family? And or were there any, or was it just really smooth?
No. There was a lot of, I was a single mom for several years, so the things that my girls should probably not have gotten away with on certain occasions, I let them get away with, and Kenny was like, "No, absolutely not. We're not doing this." Or he would get on the girls, or I would get on the kids about something, and we would bump heads about that. And it took a couple of years to become a team, as far as being a team in parenting, and not, well, this is how I do it, and this is how I do it. This is how we need to do it together. And because the kids knew it too, and they would, they would play us, and they were so cute. Right. So, and we would let them. And then there was, I didn't have any, as far as an ex to handle and stuff on that end. So, and then that was a big deal, with, well, I don't agree with this, and I don't agree with that. And, it wasn't just me and Kenyon parenting. There was another parent. The kids' mom was involved, and is involved in their lives and stuff. So that was hard for me. I love these kids, and they're my kids, but they're her kids. Right. So I had to come up with lines, don't cross these lines. You were the stepmom. So there's been things that, they've came to me to even now, and I'm like, that's a line. and I'll tell them that. I'm like, that's a line. Go talk to dad, or go talk to your mom, and they'll figure that part out. And you guys just let me know where I need to be. So that there was challenges. So, and there still is challenges, especially now that they're teenagers.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is it
driving
worse
and no,
or the same challenges, just different.
It's kind of the same challenges, especially now that they're becoming teenagers and have their own attitudes and their own personalities, and then kind of the same almost. Yeah. So as it was before, just, and it's more of a, well, I'm an adult. Well, you're not.
Because the older two are Kenyons.
Yes, the older two are Kenyons.
And the younger two are yours.
And how old are they? 16?
So we have 16, 15, 14, and 12.
So yeah, it has to be difficult when the older two aren't your biological children. And so, yeah, you do have those things that you're trying to figure out, things that you've never experienced before, because your girls aren't that old yet. Yes. And so, yeah, you're learning things.
And then trying to implement rules in place for the older ones, and being like, okay, guys, we have your sisters coming up behind you. They have to know I have to stand ground with this. And it sucks being the oldest. Like, sorry. And just in general, like I was the oldest out of all my siblings. So I was like, I'm sorry. Like you become the example, but they have to see that I'm serious and I'm going to follow through and we're not going to have this and we're not going to do this. So, yeah, that's been a little more difficult too. So, and they're girls.
I was going to say, Judas, raising girls.
All of them are girls.
Except poor little Landon. Like,
he's a 15-year-old.
He's the 15-year-old boy. Now that they're older, he just kind of gets like put in the shadow of his sisters because they're so loud and there's so much attitude and drama. And so he just kind of he's there. And he's just a quiet kid. Like, he's just awesome. And he's always been that way. Like when they were little, they would get put in timeouts. And I don't know how, I think there was a handful of times that I would put them in timeout. Well, when you put the girls in timeout, it was every few minutes, can I get out? Can I get out? Mom, am I done? And Landon never spoke. He just sat there. So every time I'd run outside to do something,
You forget it.
I would forget
Been in timeout for 4 hours.
for like an hour. And I'm like, buddy, like, why didn't you say anything? And he was like, I don't know. And I'm like, all right, you get a credit.
You get timeout credit.
Yeah.
The next time you get in trouble.
So like next time you get in trouble, be like, remember that time you let me sit here for an hour? And he would. He'd be like, can I use my credit? And I'm like, yep, you're free, go. Yeah. Like, and then just let him go. Like, cause I'm like, oh, like,
that's funny.
Parenting just fail at that point. Oh. But I gave credit, so I feel like I like helped out a little bit.
That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then when did faith become a part of it? Because, I mean, I've heard both of your stories, but maybe not together. Like,
right.
How did that work?
So
because I'm assuming you're not going to church.
No, this whole time we're not going to church. In the 10 years, I know there had been a handful of times that Kenan had been like, you know, let's start going to church. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then after like the first couple of times we never did. So I'd just be like, yeah, okay. And then we just wouldn't. And I was like, whew, God, I got that one.
Right.
And we didn't have to, and he didn't follow through with it. And neither one of us, and I say him, neither did I. And then a few years or 2 years ago, we had a lot of depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts and stuff with our one daughter. So when the doctor told me, you have girls, I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Like, I was a heathen of a child. I'm getting girls. Like, my mom always told me, you're going to get twice what you gave me. And so there's never any surprise, like, when I got told I was having little girls. And then I got a bonus daughter on top of it. And I was like, whew, God's really got it in for me. And but I expected, you know, the sneakiness and the lying and, you know, the basic teenager stuff. So when we started dealing with like depression and suicidal thoughts, and like it really tanked me as a mom. That was something I was not prepared for. Like, and I'm such a fix it and move on type person. Like, and I don't have very good patience. So it wasn't a get over this. You're done. We're over this. Like, we're moving on from it. It was just a continued thing. And as far as finding help during that time, people either wanted $800 for therapy sessions or nobody would help. Like, I just felt completely hopeless, which I think put me into a little bit of a depression as far as just not knowing what to do and help her. Kenyon took over big time in that time. They got really, really close, and she was very, very honest and open with him because I didn't give up. I just didn't know what to do. And finally he came home the one day and from the woods and was like, hey, we're going to church on Sunday. And I was like, yeah, okay. And not knowing that he'd been watching you. There was some guys from work and stuff that had told him, hey, you really need to watch this guy and watch his sermons and stuff. And I didn't know he was doing that in the deer stand. And then we came, and this is where we are. So,
can you help describe maybe some of the stuff that Kenyon helped her work through without, you don't have to be specific, but I'm like, I mean, that is a helpless place. When you get with your kids and they start struggling with depression, when they start struggling with all of that stuff, it's like they are helpless. So, again, you don't have to go in great detail, but were there any of the things that like you and Kenyon did together, Kenyon did to help that process? Was it just having conversations?
I mean,
was it taking time?
It really was just the conversations in it, and just giving her whatever she needed as far, if we needed to be upstairs talking to her for 2 hours, we would. And we finally did get her into therapy. So there was a lot of, talking after therapy and what do we do? And they really, really wanted her to be on medication. And we wanted her to be on some medication. The youngest, she's been put on anxiety meds and a couple different things, and it's helped so much. So I was like, if this is what's going to help you, let's try it. And she's been so against it. And I know he has talked to her tons about, you're not going to be in our house forever. So if you're not going to take these meds and you're not going to do these things, we have to help you figure out as your parents, like, when you leave our house, you're going to be a healthy, achieving adult. Like, that's our job. And so that's been a big thing, is just, helping her figure out different techniques and things and talking through different things with her. And he's been huge on just staying in contact with her. Like, she's a teenager, and it drives him nuts, because what do teenagers do? They go hide in their bedrooms.
Right.
And it makes him crazy. And he's like, she's been up there for, 4 hours. And I'm like, don't poke the bear. Like, we have totally different thoughts on the bears upstairs. Like, I'm like, no, leave it alone. I'm good. She comes down, she's mean. I don't want to do it. No, leave her there. And he'll go up, and I mean, there's been days that he's up there, 3-4 hours, and I'm like, what in the world are you guys doing there? He's like, we're just playing games on our phone. So, or just being there in general, like, and he's like, I'm like, well, did you talk about anything? And he was like, a little bit, but not much. He was like, we mainly just played on the phone. He goes, we watched a show, and just being in the moment with her was a lot of it. So
I got a question for you, for both of you. Are you ready?
No.
Huh?
No.
So when you guys were kids, did you isolate yourself in the bedroom?
I did.
Did you?
I don't really remember isolating myself.
I'm trying to decide if this is a new thing. I never
done.
remember that. Like, I never remember the idea of, like, when I was a kid. And again, I'm just trying to decide if some of this stuff's new. And that is a great question. Should we? Because you're saying don't go there, but isolation leads to depression. And Kenyon, just being there, not necessarily doing anything, but being in the room and not having isolation might have helped. Right. So I'm trying to decide what is good and what is bad. Because I know tons of parents today that they're on the fence. Like, they're in their room. If they come down, they're just going to sit there and stare at you. Yeah. Or they're going to come down and stare at their phone. Right. So I was just wondering, when you guys grew up, was isolation ever an issue when you were growing up? Do you ever remember that?
That's so long ago.
Jennifer, it ain't that long ago.
We're old, Mike.
Huh? I don't remember. I don't remember isolation, but I mean,
I think my sister and I shared a room. I think we had a TV in our room, but I don't ever remember watching it. That would have been the only thing I could have done up there.
You had a TV in your room?
I did. I had a phone in my room too.
Really?
Yes.
So you could sit there and talk to your boyfriend?
Yes. Eric would call me in the mornings, and I would talk on his way to school. Anyways, I don't remember hiding out in my room.
But you did.
Oh, I was constantly in my room.
Yeah. And did you think it was okay? Like, even then, did you like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, my routine was like, come home, I'd grab a Mountain Dew and a Pop-Tart, and go up and watch a little bit of TV, and then sleep for like 15, 16 hours. So, and I don't ever remember thinking like, oh my gosh, it was a waste of my life.
No,
because I wasn't involved in it. Like I wasn't involved in sports. I wasn't involved in any like clubs or anything. Like I said, like in high school, during the week, I would be at school and then come home and Mountain Dew, Pop-Tart, sleep. Like,
yeah.
And then, on the weekends, I was gone. I was gone all weekend doing this or that and not supposed to be doing this and that, and or I would be grounded, and that was my other part of things too. So, and if I was grounded, it was, we had horses growing up, so we'd be in the barn or doing stuff like that, and so, but even when if I wasn't working out there or helping them with doing something, I remember one of my punishments being mowing the lawn or weed eating. Weed eating was because I hated it. I hated it so much. And then finally, after like the third broken weed eater, my stepdad figured out that that's probably not a great punishment because
you kept breaking the weed
I would
eater?
go behind the silo and just be like,
Oh gosh, it was intentional.
and I'm like, man, I come back out and be like, the
weed
string
eater's
thing wouldn't
broke.
come out. Like,
Yeah.
and I tried. I hit it like you guys told me to, and it wouldn't come out. And the whole time I'm like behind the silo, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
just trying.
oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the balance because even this coming week, when like part of what we didn't get to this week, but we're going to talk about is the idea of like raising a generation of children up, and what is timeless. Like, what are the things that whether it's 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or present should always be happening, and what are those things that are just okay, so maybe nobody spent any time in the room before, but now it's perfectly okay to be in your room for 4 hours, or
Right.
I'm trying to decide, is that good, is it healthy, what's the balance, in making those things happen, because I would agree that it's more comfortable, right? So I'm trying to decide as a parent, is that the way to go? Don't poke the bear, keep everything comfortable.
Right.
Or do we start introducing more challenging things to be uncomfortable, like to get them out of that comfort zone?
right. So, and I know Kenyon, he'll, hey, we're going to town. Come on, let's go. And like if they go into the store, like they're not allowed to take their phones into the store. If we go to eat somewhere, they're not allowed to take their phones into dinner. Church, we come to church, you leave your phone inside or in the truck when we leave. And like the church, I agree. But like if we run somewhere and it's just me and the girls or me and the kids, like they've all got their phones going in too. So there are things that Kenyon and I go different on those kind of things. And it's more of the comfort. Yeah. The comfort, well, it's not hurt anything. It's not like they're walking around on their phone in the store like this. And if they do, because they have done that, I won't lie. And then they run into something and it's entertainment for me. So, and I'm like,
You need to
should have
get
paid
these
attention.
family conversation cards.
Yes.
Do what?
There's conversation cards that you can get. We were gonna have a marriage thing last year, and I had these marriage cards, and we didn't end up having it. But I gave one to all my team members in the marriage class. Anyways, I had some. So Eric and I went away for our anniversary, and so I got those at dinner. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I pulled out different cards, and some of them it just was a different conversation than you normally have. And so you could put those in your vehicle. And so don't take the phones with you, and you pull out a card, and you could say, "Okay, here's the topic," and it made your mind think differently than you normally would do to get your kids talking. And sometimes that conversation can lead to another conversation that you didn't even know you were going to have.
Right.
So I would not take the phones. If I could go back and do things differently with my kids, I would probably not let them do that.
Well, here's my only thing, and I don't know how this gets fixed. I think, I say this right so nobody gets mad. There are so many kids that are socially awkward. Like you can't talk to them. Like you look them in the eye and you try to have a conversation and they have
Nothing.
no ability to carry on a conversation unless it's about them. Like this is the thing I can't understand, because when I grew up, it was nothing about you. You learned to ask questions to your elders, right? To older people. You're asking them questions because you're completely interested. What are they doing and what's going on and why are you out there and on that tractor and when do you do this thing and you're hunting and how do I learn? And like we were taught to be inquisitive, and I wanted to teach my kids, like, your conversation should be about other people because it'll naturally come back to you, right? Like naturally. Now, if it's not about them, Like, you know how they teach you in school, like the conversation ball, right? So you lob it over and somebody grabs it and they have the conversation and they lob it back. Kids have no idea how to lob it back. Like they hold that conversation ball, and if it's not about them, they have no clue. I don't know if it's they don't care. Like, I don't know that they care what's going on in your life. I don't know that they want to know what's happening, but to teach our children this idea, they should care what's going on in mom's life, and they should care what's going on in dad's life, and they should learn to be able to sit in a social setting and have conversations that isn't just about them. And then when it's not about them anymore, it's just like,
well. So, but it's funny because you say that, and like we have the 4 kids and stuff, and we have certain ones that they do that. Like they'll have a conversation with you and go back and forth, and or we'll talk about, or they'll ask about family members or things that are going on, and then we have a couple other ones that like I get my conversation out, and then it's just like,
yeah,
are we done?
And I do think that there's this level of like there's different personalities.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to say that like there's like some are shy and some are not shy, but I still think that there's something inside of our kids that we have to teach. That you should be asking questions. You should be able to look somebody in the eye. You should care about somebody else's life. Yeah. You should be the greatest question asker ever because you care. And whether you're shy and it's one question or 2, or whether it's 15 because you're completely extroverted and you could talk forever.
Right.
But it's still, we should be inquisitive enough to know, I wonder what's going on. Because I don't believe that they're not inquisitive, because that's why they're staring at their phone. Right? They're inquisitive enough to scroll through dumb videos all the time and watch things that they're inquisitive about. So they should learn that. So that's just, I'm trying to process, how much of that do we need to teach? Like, how much of that do we need to help them learn how to be able to have conversation, to be able to do? Because again, I think that's some of that's a learned trait, and we got to, anyway, that's off the subject, but I was just curious what you thought about that. Because I would agree the same way. We need to teach our kids to ask questions, to have conversation, to be able to, I think isolation leads to awkwardness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people, not as much, but I think over time it could just get worse.
Yes.
Right? The longer that you say.
Yeah.
So another quick question. So in the process of the 2 years, what has been the thing that God's done the most in you? Because I do think it's really interesting that it's like, a lot of times you hear parents be like, I had kids, I should probably go to church. You know what I mean? But that was not I never heard you say like, oh, I wonder if we should go to church. Right. But now that you are, what are some of the things that God has done over the past couple years that have been like, oh man, being in church has helped me, or being in church, or being in my Bible, or being in a small group has helped me?
It's softened me. Like I was very hard. I mean, as far as like my language, the way I thought, it's very black and white. You do this or you don't do this, like, and you get over this. And just even like discipline with the kids or like things at work, it was confrontational. And I think now I just sit back more and I'm like, this isn't affecting me. Like, I'm not going to let this affect me. And there's been times since I've been baptized that we'll be walking, or there's been situations that old Courtney would have just blown up and just lost my mind on somebody, and let them know exactly what was on my mind, and I'd have felt better and walked away. And like the kids will laugh at me because they're like, "What's mom?" Because I'll be like, I'm made new. And like it's like on repeat. Yeah. But it's helped. And I sound like a blooming idiot to other people because they don't know what I'm talking about. But my kids know what I'm talking about, and I still think I sound like a blooming idiot to them sometimes. But just being kinder, and that's been a big, big thing that I've really, really prayed and really sat on it, that, you know, just soften me, make me kinder to my husband and to my kids, to just people in general. because I have been that person that if it's on my mind, it comes out of my mouth, and I don't care how it makes you feel.
Right.
Because to me, words don't hurt you. Words don't hurt your feelings. Nobody's hitting you. And like the kids would come home and be like, "Whoa, so-and-so said this." And I'm like, "Oh, get over it. Like, it's a word. Like, it didn't, are you harmed?"
Right.
But it does. It does harm. And I think that has been a huge, huge eye-opener. And God has absolutely softened me on certain things. Do I fall back a little bit? Yes.
Like everyone.
Yeah. And I'm just so hard-headed, too. And then I'm like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
So I got this new job. And so just funny example, I've been for kind words. Like, don't try not to cuss, because I've been a bartender for a long time. Like, I've had a really, really bad mouth. So that was a big deal. Like, no cussing. Like, you really, really try not to cuss. And I'd been doing really, really good. And I was at work, and the girls had me just flustered. And man, I just, word after word I was saying. I have a cross bracelet. Not this one. This is new because it doesn't harm me.
It doesn't harm you.
Oh, wait.
Oh, okay.
So I'm angry and I'm flustered at work, and and all of a sudden I get a slice from this cross on my hand. And I was like, oh. Like, instantly looked up, and I was like,
I'm in trouble. You just
I need to shut my mouth right now. Like, this is not what you prayed for on the way. Like, because on the way to work, and every time I drive to work, I'm like, make me be kind. Like, help me be kind and show the words. And so, because that was kind of my biggest thing with taking this job was, okay, don't be the old Courtney that just jumps into it. Because I was worried about being back in a bar standpoint and kind of falling back into old habits. So on the way to work every day, I pray that I am made new, and this is new me. Like, let me be new me, and show these people that this is not the same old Courtney. So yeah, this is a new bracelet. So I'm sure if I need to, it could probably hurt me, but as of right now, I can't be sliced open.
Yeah.
So, but I think just the kindness part of things has really, really helped me.
Yeah.
So
as we're ending up, I just want to say, I think it's so cool, you guys' story, because it's like, we're completely out. I loved it. I said, I'm going to immediately. So when you guys took Discover Life, and Kenyon's like, I don't know, I think it was Discover Life, when he said, yeah, I was in a tree stand and I used to watch. I'm like, dude, I love you already. And then it would be so cool. But to watch you guys from then, like, decide, hey, we're going to come in, and not only are we going to come in, we're going to listen and open up our hearts to God. Change in the baptisms, and not only the baptisms, I'm not going to wait for somebody to figure out how to serve. I'm going to go serve. Like, I'm going to do something, right? So you go, like, it takes Christian people sometimes years and years and years coming to a church to jump in and say, like, I'm in, I'm here, use me, help me, where you guys come in and said, my heart's open. God pricked my heart. I'm going to change it. I'm going to have new me. I'm going to get baptized. I'm going to help where I can. I'm going to serve where I can. I'm going to ask questions, right? I'm going to try to figure it out. Just the innocence and just the following. And I'm proud of you guys. I think it's so cool to watch, and I'm excited for like what God's going to do, because I think for people that are open and willing to take risks like that and just jump in and say, I'm going to fail, but that's just the way it is. I'm in, right? I'm not halfway in. I'm all in, and we're going to try the best we can, and some's going to be good and some's going to be bad. I just think God's going to use you in amazing ways. So, yeah. So if you're watching and or listening, so first of all, I guess if you're listening, make sure you watch. We've always said that. For sure. Make sure you watch. That way you can get an idea. You can always be looking at our set, and maybe our set's going to be changing. I don't know. Sometime there might be a new reveal at some point. Maybe at some point of some new things.
Is the deer head leaving though?
You have to watch and find out. Can't give that many spoilers.
I know. That's what I say. but I don't get a say.
It's not all finalized. I
know. But anyway, that way too, you can see Courtney, because that's the other thing about being inside of a big church. You don't always get to see everybody. And so it's an opportunity to say, oh, I can put a story with a face, with a name, and be able to come up and say hi. Because you guys are pretty much second service.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the time.
Yep.
So if you see her, make sure you come up and say hi to her family and just encourage them in everything they're doing. So again, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.